They don't have a lot of players close to that. Zach Martin's 30 off a calf injury, I think. He had to switch positions. He was banged up a little this year. I still think when he's healthy, he's the best or second best right guard in the NFL. Dallas now drafts 8th. More than any team in the NFL. Dallas has to get better, cheaper, and younger. They're right up against the cap, and they're paying guys that are good, and they're paying them great. If you look at the current NFL draft order, almost every team has a specific need. Let's talk through this. Jacksonville, for our radio audience, you can't see it. I'll talk you through it. Jacksonville first, quarterback. Jets second, probably a quarterback. Bengals third, protect Joe Burrow, probably a tackle. And there's a great one there. Panthers 4. My guess is quarterback, groom him under Teddy, the Alex Smith sort of plan with Mahomes. That makes sense. Atlanta 5 is a little in the Dallas role. They don't have a singular specific need. They got to get a coach. We'll see what they do there. And they need to get better. Dolphins, offensive line, offensive tackle to protect Tua. And that's one of their real needs. Eagles, they got to get younger on the O-line, younger at wide receiver. Chargers 9, Giants 10 have their quarterback. I think the Chargers need a tackle offensively, and I think the Giants need a receiver, a game breaker on the perimeter. But Atlanta 5 and Dallas 8, they just need players. Translation, trade down. If I'm Dallas, trade down. Jerry loves to be in the top 10. Dallas is screaming trade down. They're not getting rid of Dak, period. And Dalton, by the way, as you've watched, is an excellent backup. He's not Mariota, but he's an excellent backup. So, by the way, on the managing the cap thing, I like metaphors and analogies. Jerry Jones was asked this morning on Dallas radio about managing the cap, and this is interesting.
I call it the light theory. When you walk out of a room, you ought to turn the light off if there's nobody in it, because all you're doing is keeping a light on for the rats and the mice. There's nobody in there to see the light, and so you turn that light off. What you do is on every negotiation, you turn the light off because you may not think you need that light in that room. When you can't afford it, you will need it. There's no question. You'll need it at a certain time in the future. So you negotiate every time you can for the benefit of having more available for the players around the very player you're talking to. And that's not directed at any player. That's just a negotiation.
All right, sort of lost me at rats. But the point being is they got a cap issue. They got a talent issue. They need to get younger. Cowboys, I know it's tough. I know you like the spotlight. You in Atlanta, trade down. Let somebody come up and get the quarterback of their dreams. And it's amazing. This is one of the great things about the NFL. It's amazing what you can do with one free agency and one draft class. It is unbelievable. Bill Parcells did it 4 times, I think. Remember that Miami team, 1-15, 11-5. You can change the middle and bottom of your roster almost completely in one draft class and free agency class. Joel Klatt is coming up next on a Tuesday. Big college football news. Ever wonder just how far an extra mile really goes? Drive a Mercedes-Benz van and find out. Variety of vans at Mercedes. The durable Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, love that one. The versatile. What I love about the Bills, they have given Josh Allen so much support. They've done it the right way. And talk a little bit, if you could, for a couple of minutes, just about the culture in Buffalo. You know, I said the other day, the difference between the Steelers and Buffalo, one of them won the Super Bowls, one lost. But Buffalo, if you go back 30 years, they've had a lot of good players, a lot of good coaches, a lot of good teams. But man, Peter, they are so rolling right now.
You know, Colin, I had an interesting conversation with Jerry Hughes, who, by the way, the day that Sean McDermott walked into the building, January 15th, 2017, that's less than 4 years ago, Jerry Hughes is the only active player who was active in 2016 who has left of the 53 men on the active roster.
Wow.
The only active player then. So that's what we talked about. And one of the things that Jerry Hughes talked a lot about was how, basically this coach got to know everybody on the roster. And while it was not their plan to denude the franchise and totally bring it back up, when you have a coach who communicates with everybody, 1 to 53, or now 1 to 69 with practice squad, you have a coach that communicates with everybody 1 to 69, and you pick the right quarterback for your franchise. And there's one other decision they made. I was critical of Brandon Beane, the general manager, for giving up so much for Stephon Diggs. And the other night afterwards, I said to him, hey, Brandon, you got, now Stephon Diggs obviously is the number one receiver in the league statistically. He's playing absolutely great, and he's a pure franchise receiver if there ever was one. He pointed out two very interesting things. Number one, he was under contract for 3 more years, whereas, you knew that DeAndre Hopkins was going to need a huge new contract. And so Stephon Diggs is under contract for a while more. And number two, they traded, in essence, an extra 4, 5, and 6 to get him, as well as their 1. Minnesota took Justin Jefferson with that 1. And so if you're just comparing the two things, you'd say, man, Minnesota got great value. And Minnesota did. But as Brandon Beane said, he said, look, we didn't know how much we were going to be able to work with the players in the offseason. Even if we take a receiver in the first round, how much is he going to be able to contribute opening day? That is the strength and the wise move of getting Stephon Diggs. He was ready to step in day one as a huge factor in their offense.
Steelers and Saints both have Hall of Fame coaches, better defenses than offenses, and Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and a quarterback that looks just about ready to go. The difference is the Saints feel like they're prepared for it. The Steelers feel like this morning they're not. Peter, what is plan B? Big Ben, I don't know if you turn this around. He just doesn't look like there's much left.
No, he looks old. And the worst thing I thought last night was, he was fairly inaccurate last night. And, if you're going to be sort of a statue-like quarterback, you better be able to hit everything. And last night, clearly he didn't. He had another interception dropped. You're showing some of the bad highlights now. Are you going to show the dropped interception that would have ended the game?
Yep.
But I do think I think you're absolutely right. The Saints, now we don't know right now if they're going to keep Jameis Winston and have Winston and Taysom Hill do a duel in training camp next year. We don't know that, but at least they've got a plan. And the Steelers know that Mason Rudolph is not their long-term guy. I mean, there's a slight chance he will be. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have to be in the market for a quarterback in the first round, wherever they pick this year.
So I had Jimmy Johnson on yesterday and Trent Dilfer, and Trent said Justin Fields is who you take if you're the Jets. He's not Trevor Lawrence, but it's not that big of a gap. And Jimmy said, I don't know, maybe I'd build a fortress with all those picks and cap space, give Darnold 1 more year, and if it doesn't work, just the next guy is going to have a nice unit of players. What do you think happened this morning? Where do you lean on that, Peter?
I lean on the Jets, just a gut feeling, because you don't even know who the coach is. Suppose they hire Eric Bieniemy as the head coach, and Bieniemy goes, I love Justin Fields. Or suppose you bring in Bieniemy and he likes whoever, one of the other guys. The one thing that the Jets can do at number 2, you're absolutely right, because a lot of people still love Sam Darnold. If you give Sam Darnold 1 more year and it is a disaster, you've got a high pick next year.
Yeah.
And then you can stock up on your quarterback. And Colin, suppose you do one of 2 things. Suppose you stay right there at number 2 and take that great Oregon tackle, let's just say. Or you take that pick and you trade it down for, say, 2 1s and a 3, and you're still, say, in the top 10, and you got another one in 2022, in addition to your treasure trove of picks this year. So to me, I think the Jets, I understand that everybody in New York is hanging black crepe paper who loves the Jets. I get it. And of course you wanted that great quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. But if you can't get him, you got time to be smart. You've got a really good personnel guy as your general manager. Get a treasure trove of picks for that pick at number 2, the best you can. See if Darnold is still your guy. And if he is, all of a sudden now you have a great base of talent to surround him with.
Couple of minutes.